It's recording. Okay. So we'll start with my HQ one. I cut out, this was like part of one whole story, but I liked these 4 pieces of it. So I cut out this guy who looks like he's kind of like balanced, and I liked that because I feel like, you know, Jason and all of us really are trying to encourage more balance between work and home, and I think that that's important for all of our members and just entrepreneurs in general. And then I did this one with broccoli for like health, and we compost, which is important. And then this one is like, you know, coming together as a community and being neighborly and just, you know, thinking about our role in the community and how we affect our neighbors and our space, especially if we expand, like we want to be conscientious of that. And then I cut out this one. It's a book called The Better Man Project, and I think that that's what we're striving to be, is just better, and not necessarily better than someone, but just better as a whole. And then I cut out this because I think that HQ is sort of like a canvas right now to us, and we get to tell our own story and make it what we want, and it's kind of special for the community that we're doing that. So that's my HQ board.
Thanks.
And then my personal board, I have like one part that's kind of HQ related too, and it's this picture, and it's like, I just think this is a great picture. If you guys don't know who they are, they're the people from Little People, Big World. No, the Little Couple. They're from the Little Couple. But they adopted 2, like, children. One's from India and one's from Asia. And I just think, like, HQ is a really great sort of melting pot. And I think it's changing, too, and we're getting more diversity into the space, which is really great. But I think, like, the family aspect of it and the adoption aspect of it really played into my personal life. And then this one, like, the dad's, like, catching the kid as he's jumping in, and I just think it's really fun and free, and that's kind of how I try to be as a parent, and, like, I want my kids to kind of enjoy their life and not feel like they have boundaries on their life, and they can only do this because of that. And then this one is like a mama elephant, like being nurturing and like moving your kids along. And I think that that's probably the most important value in my life, is I like to be nurturing and like a caretaker. So those are mine.
And do you feel like your personal values are in line with what you perceive HQ's values to be?
I really do. I think, like, I can't really probably imagine a workplace that didn't, like, that gave me everything that I feel like I need in my personal life, like HQ does. Like, I feel like HQ really plays into, like, my personal strengths and my personal desires, you know, for my home life and for my work life. So it's really awesome. All right, I'll take the camera.
Okay.
Allison's next.
So now we're giving a book report.
It is. It's like a book report.
So my HQ one, I got sort of metaphorical with it. And I have a queen bee and the hive here, because I feel like we're sort of creating that hive at HQ, and we're leaders for this community that we're building. So we're like the queen bee, kind of leading all these other people within HQ Raleigh who are really an integral part of kind of like that family that we're building. And bees are really important to the future of an entire crop system, and their pollination is a big part of that. So we're kind of pollinating the future for all of our little
I like it.
So that is that's the HQ one. And then the one for my personal values, I was really drawn to this picture of this little girl drinking a milkshake, not just because I have a sugar addiction, but my first response, I think, to a lot of things is to be practical and think, like, try to think realistically about things, but it's also really important to me to be open and to not like have my first response just to say no or think about like is that really feasible? So thinking about that sense of openness and like living life like a child without sort of those inhibitions or that like first like mind response, and learning to trust intuition and to live fully and to be open, and that's when I have the best experiences in work and in personal life. Being open to different types of people, to traveling to different places, open to relationships and things like that. That helps me to just have a better life. So
Nice. I like it. Good job. I like the beehive a lot.
We should get a hive.
We should.
that would be cool.
An HQ hive out back.
Come up with a little, some sort of cuddle.
That's what we should call our room downstairs.
2, 3 hive.
The beehive.
That was one of the final names.
Well, there's that girl that
That's
did
right,
the
that was one of
e-games
them.
who makes those urban beehives.
Oh, yeah. And there's that friend of yours that's working on that beehive thing.
Yeah, I really like that. That's good. I like the
Okay.
metaphor.
So for my HQ and my personal, there's some linkage in terms of the value that I chose for this exercise. So for me personally, I chose the table with lots of people and some delicious food on it because I really value connection. I really like bringing people together. And it's kind of that idea of being surrounded by love and support, and there's a lot of creative ways that you can bring people together, and I always like thinking about, I get a lot of joy and a lot of like energy out of thinking about a fun experience that I could connect two people to do. So that's kind of, that connection piece is a really big value for me in kind of everything I do. And then for HQ itself, I was first drawn to this one, which is just kind of like fun. I think we're not only building a workspace, but we're creating a feeling at HQ. And then I was drawn to this one. I like the enthusiasm in this community, and I like the casualness of this community. I think what we're building is one of a network of people that are helpful to each other and enthusiastic about being there, and by providing kind of a relaxing environment where they feel like they can chill out and have a Michelob Light.
Yeah.
And the reason I put this one up here was it was kind of like the negative of what you don't want. Like I was first drawn to like the beer, and I was like, oh, kind of like cheersing, which then gave me this one instead. But there's something that's kind of self-serving and
Yeah.
kind of in it for themselves type of feeling in this image that isn't in these images. And I think that kind of communal sense is something that I think that we are really striving for in this space.
Agreed.
Just taking notes from all of us here, and you'll see why in a moment. All right, my turn.
Just letting down my note-taking skills.
So I started out with what we're not, and this is basically two football players here. One is Cleveland Browns college star, completely self-absorbed, self-promoter, pretender. He's all about the talk, but at the end of the day, the people in the locker room say he's not a team player. He's just all about the money and to have his own star shine. And then this is Tom Brady, win at all costs, cheater. He's good at what he does, but at the end of the day, he'll win and he'll do whatever it takes to win. Then over here, and this is more along the personal lines, this is Peyton Manning, my NFL football's hero. He's all about, he's definitely all about the league and making the NFL better, but he also strives for excellence. He's known as a collaborator. He's a trailblazer. Like, he's doing things that no one has ever done in the game before, and he's definitely a leader. Like, people follow him and really want to help him out. And then lastly, from more of the HQ perspective, there's a balloon here called the Intrepid, and this is one of the first hot air balloons that took place. And there's a group of people below, and the backstory to this is basically there was a bunch of people trying to create that technology, and they all got together and help each other to basically reach that pinnacle of success and get the balloon off the ground. So what that made me think of is team, community, and collaboration, and those are values I think that are well represented.
Awesome.
All right, so we have a couple more minutes, and I took some notes as we were moving through this. Do you think that people perceive us to be these things? And some of the notes were we're leaders, we're an open-minded organization, we're fun, we create a sense of community, we're concerned about our environment with composting, we care about diversity, we're a relaxed place, we're enthusiastic, we're a network. I mean, all of these things to me not only incorporate our own values, but they also definitely flow over into HQ's values. Do people perceive us that way, do you think?
I think so.
I think a lot of people, especially within our space, and then people who are invited to come into our space, really see that those are, the value of HQ. Those, pretty much all of those things. Like, personally, I would like to see us be a little bit more diverse. And I think that we're working on that, and I think that, like, we're talking with a couple of programs where it offers a little more diversity through, more women in the space and more races in the space. So I think, like, a bit more diversity is a good thing. I definitely think that we're seen as, open-minded and connected.
So do you think that there's any areas where, we think that our core values are this, but it's not perceived that way? So maybe diversity is one of those things where internally it's one of our values to be a diverse organization, but it may not be perceived that way from the outside just because we haven't made enough headway.
Right.
Any other examples?
I think one other thing we've heard from members a lot in the past, really almost since we opened the new space, is you guys are always running around, you guys are always busy. I don't always want to interrupt you because you look like you're so focused or you're so busy. And I think that, one, we just have so many more members and there's still the same amount of us. So there's just more going on in the space.
Mm-hmm.
But two, I think that kind of lends into kind of that feeling of support and fun. That I think members sometimes feel the stress that we're feeling. And I think that they get it and they understand it, and they're very understanding when we can't get to things right away. But I think that over time could be negative for our overall image.
Let me take that a step further. Do you think that we were perceived differently, let's say 2 years ago, than we are today? Maybe in our actions that perception has changed. Because I will say at the beginning, I met with every single member.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm one of those people now that, Rick Wilfong's email was basically a shot at me to say, Jason, you used to be around and now you're not around anymore, and people really want to be around you. I remember joining Bull City Forward